Perfect.
Have you been there?
I haven't actually been to, I mean, I know where it's at.
Yeah.
I've driven by it.
Yeah.
It's so
I've
cool.
stared through your mom's window.
I
No.
We'll start it there. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. My name is Jake Lottrell. I do video marketing stuff. I don't have a good for Edge.
Okay. Edge who?
Home finance.
There you go. I'm Brady Holland. Tyler Miller team, EXP Realty. I sell houses. Today we have Tony Rusher, Uncle Tony, Fat Tony, Two Finger Tony, Pookie. We got them all today.
It's Pokey. I like the two-finger toe. A lot of my
so
friends
good.
will watch this, and I get. It's funny. I did like a couple little podcasts with like a
Brooke?
teammate.
Yeah.
With Brooke, a teammate of mine.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, and we've had fun with it and stuff. And we actually need to kind of record some more and do it, but because she's just so dry.
Yeah.
But we're like, she really is, and I just sit there and talk, and I just make her laugh, and that's just really
The dynamic between you two. I think you had a beer or something.
Yeah,
and
let's
she was
grab beers this time.
Yeah.
And she's just so innocent. She's just this little sweet Catholic girl.
Such
from
a
the
good
prairie.
dynamic.
But, I did these, and I didn't realize how many people, like all of a sudden people were like, I had a guy just randomly come up to me at the bar. He's a semi-regular, because I like work at a bar every once in a while, and this guy comes up to me, he's like, can I be on your podcast? I'm like, be on my podcast? What are you talking about? I'm like, it's just me and a girl that's sitting there, like we don't do guests or
We should have done this at the third rail.
Actually, dive bars are my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like the third rail is just, it's my friend's bar. It's one of those things where I love it.
Yeah.
And I work there because she offered it to me, and it's just kind of a great way to get clients. And like that's my marketing that I do. I just go to a bar and drink.
Yeah.
It's like social media. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Give me in a bar.
I need to be. I mean, I'm on social media, but I'm not really. It's like, oh, I can.
You don't live on social media.
No, and
Yeah.
but there's proof. There's proof in doing it, right? I mean,
100%.
I know people that 100% Brady. I mean, our friend Tyler Miller. Yeah, he does all that stuff, and it's like it does work. But to me, I'd rather go sit at a dive bar and just connect with somebody
For sure.
and just get like 2 to 3 clients that way.
We have a guy here, Tony Zerwas, who we started at the. Do you know him?
I know of him. I don't
Okay,
know
we
real
started
well.
at the same time, and he never once made a call, and just social media, and the dude is like top 3 in the company.
Yeah.
Out of 1,200 LOs, like he is
It's what you gotta be
phenomenal.
comfortable. It's just what you're comfortable doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, like Brady's on it, and I love it because it's such an obscure impression, but I've been working on a Brady Holland impression when Brady's talking. Because Brady talks a certain way when he's on social media versus that. I love it.
Or on the phone with a client.
But I actually,
you have to.
Yeah.
I watch it. I watch his videos because I want to see it, because it's like, it's an impersonation I want to be able to do. But it's just an obscure one, so you can't really ever be like, do this great Brady Holland impression.
Yeah. Dude, when we first met, I think it was the first time at Brady's house the other day. Was it the first time we met?
I think it's like in person.
Okay.
I mean, our souls had met before.
Yeah. I
Your
love
souls
that.
have been tied together.
Giving me a
forever.
heart boner. No, when you first started talking to me, I'm like, who does this guy remind me of? Who? When people say like, oh, you remind me exactly of, do they have a name when
I was less fat, it was Rudy.
Okay.
Now that I'm fatter, it's still the guy that played Rudy. It's Sean Astin for sure still.
Okay.
But no,
What about your voice specifically?
So the big one I actually have been getting with the younger generation, like Brady's age, and I sound really old saying that, is Alex Jones.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
So it's like, I actually can go down and do it at a few hours.
The reptilian army is taking.
LSD is turning our frogs gay. Like all that stuff. So I had a guy say to me, I was like randomly at a bar with friends, and we're sitting there, and this guy that I kind of know, his actual name's Gruber. It's the greatest name.
That is a great name.
He lives above a bar. He's amazing, but
That is a live above the bar name for sure.
Works in concrete. It's just crazy. He just parties all the time. And
I could have guessed all that.
But he comes up and he goes, you sound like Alex Jones? I said, yeah, I've heard that before. And he goes, oh man, it's just crazy. And so he just always would come in and ask me to do it. So the next time I go out, I was at Serums in Anoka. And I don't go there a lot. And this kid walks up and he goes, I just heard your voice. You sound a lot like Alex Jones. Then I ended up getting paid. I've gotten paid like probably $60, like $20 each time to record voicemails for people.
That's
as Alex
hilarious.
Jones. And I didn't realize how much I sounded like him,
Yes,
but I've
yeah.
gotten that. But the other one is I just get people walk up to me and go, you know who you remind me of? You remind me of my cousin. Or
okay.
Or
Yeah.
it's
Familiar
always some
face.
obscure person that they know.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of, you remember Kristen's little brother? Yeah, right. You know, and I'm like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like, I
You
don't-
remind me of my dog's uncle's cousin's
Yeah,
dad.
It's like,
Like-
yeah, okay, sounds good. The other one is, and I don't like this one with my voice, is Seth Rogen.
Oh, I could see it, but no, not so. I don't like Seth Rogen's voice.
I hate his laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do, and I can't
You
even
did
do
good,
it.
Jake. That was good.
Yeah, I don't like it. Was it?
That's a pretty good impression. All right, it was solid.
Clip that, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. The best one would be like I said, that's not an obscure one, like doing a Brady Holland. You know,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on the Brady Holland though.
It's
Dude,
hard,
I
man.
think you have to master the Alex. Well, you kind of already have mastered the Alex Jones,
It's
but
just his voice.
It's
man.
just my
so
voice.
good.
Well, and people always ask me, like, I had a nurse come up to me one time, and I was sitting there, and she goes, I gotta just ask you. She goes, is there something wrong with your voice? And I said, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just the way it kind of started when I hit puberty, I guess.
Yeah.
And she goes, because it's just so gravelly. And she
Yeah.
goes, well, I work with a what is it, cancer? I think it was a oncologist or something.
Yeah.
She goes, it sounds like you might have a thyroid problem. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, like a lot of people with thyroid problems, like they have that really raspy
because
voice.
their thyroid's inflamed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, so then I got freaked out. And this is years ago, but I got freaked out and I like went to the doctor. And I'm like,
Got your thyroid checked.
and they're like, no, you're fine.
Yeah.
You just have a gravelly voice.
Yeah.
It's just who you are. I mean, I smoked for a long time.
I did too, and I didn't get that cool voice. I still
Yeah.
have this like.
You just cough a lot.
I just destroyed my vocal cords in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
perfect way. So, but it's still the same thing as people tell me, they're like, oh, I love your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
It's a great storytelling voice.
I hate hearing my voice though.
Well, everybody does. Yeah.
I don't know how you guys go and edit this.
Well, I
'Cause would
remember.
just want to like freaking cringe every time I'd hear my voice.
Yeah. I remember my first video on YouTube. This was back in like 2015, and I watched it back, and I'm like, I sound like the biggest fucking dork. I can't stand my voice. I've gotten used to it, but like, yeah, it's terrible. Everybody hates their own voice.
Oh, dude, yeah.
How long have you guys
brutal.
been doing this now?
Little over a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
We're coming up on
2
No,
years?
no.
No. Maybe.
next spring.
Yeah.
I've been at Edge for 2 years.
We met. It's actually a cool story.
Is it?
Who reached out? I did.
You did.
I reached out to Jake. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm a new agent. I see you're a loan officer. I would love to grab coffee."
Which for a loan officer, because I started as a loan officer, at the time I was like, a realtor is reaching out. Usually it's the other way around
Yeah.
where the loan
Oh,
officers
for
are
sure.
hounding realtors. It's
But
like,
dude, I reached out to everybody I could.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was like, I need to get known.
yeah, which was the right idea. And then, I don't know, do we meet at like Caribou by my
Caribou and
house?
Champlin, yeah.
Yeah, and then we met like every week, every other Friday for
Yeah.
a few times. And then I had him on my like Origin Stories podcast that went nowhere. But
We started talking about podcasts because I was like, I want to try doing like a podcast. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like at that time there wasn't a whole lot of like real estate podcasts
Yeah.
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of want to try doing something. So I started like the fireside chat and like
yeah,
all that. And then you're like, podcast kind of sounds cool. I want to do it.
yeah,
So then you guys did.
yeah.
And then I think we were high as shit one day. And you texted me. He's like, we're like the pod gods. I was like,
Was it me?
How is that name not taken, by the way?
I
It
don't
probably
know.
it was like it has like I'm sure it's already like patented and LLC, but I mean,
I've looked
We
around.
looked at it. We tried doing it. We tried to patent it, didn't we?
Can you, Can you-
we were
can
thinking
you-
about it. I never did it. But
can you do that?
I don't. I kind of want to cut this
I'm
out so
assuming,
no one.
like, I'm assuming like the Joe Rogan experience.
The
is
brand, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like brand. It's probably
LLC or something.
protected.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
interesting
So
one. I don't know, but I saw that and I was like, when I first saw your guys' stuff, I was like, oh, the Pod Gods. That's actually a freaking really good name.
it's. I feel
It
like
was.
it's so bad that it's good. Like the Pod Gods is.
It is.
And you know, like we'll get hate comments
All the
sometimes. Like I love when people think they're so interesting enough that they need a podcast, or like not everybody should have podcasts. And I realize like I can't even blame them. Like if I was someone scouring the internet or watching YouTube and something popped up and these two, I don't want to say young guys, 'cause I'm 35, but like these two guys were doing a podcast, I'd be like, look at these fucking losers getting, 100
You know what's
views.
great about your stuff though is it's all the clips, right? Like,
Right, 100%.
The only podcast I've really ever listened to, like, and it's not, I won't listen to all the stuff, and I will listen to Joe Rogan.
Yes.
But it's only when he has the Save Art Parks.
Oh,
crew
so
on.
good with
So
Ari
when
and Shane and Mark Norman.
I will listen to those
So funny.
because those guys are just hilarious. And
Yes.
They just get demolished while they do it.
Yes.
So that's fun, but like to me, it's it's all like TikTok,
Right.
you know,
It's the clips,
or reels.
yeah.
It's the clips because it's just hearing funny little pieces of a conversation.
Like the best version
Yeah.
of the...
and then it makes you want to be like, okay, maybe I'll go clip that part and I'll
Yep.
go find it. I'll listen to the full conversation
Yeah.
so I can get further context.
Well,
that's the whole purpose.
the best thing is like our TikTok. I don't want to say is blowing up because it's like relative, but compared to all of our other like Instagram and YouTube and Spotify, our TikTok is getting like 10 followers every day, which
wow.
doesn't. It sounds.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot for us,
It
guys.
is. It sounds like nothing, but we're already
when
at like
you're a rinky
over
dink podcast
Yes.
in Minnetonka, Minnesota,
Yeah.
that's a lot of people coming through.
Yes, and we're already at over 450, and it's just I feel like it's snowballing a little bigger and a little bigger. And
Did you see that one comment on
What?
Instagram of the clip you made of us saying like we're really blown up?
oh
Like,
gosh, probably.
somebody commented, the best part about this video is it has 2 likes.
Oh yeah. I didn't see that, but that's good.
Well, and that's it's a funny thing, right? It's just figuring out an algorithm or getting something to just get hit up and picked up.
Yeah.
Because like I'll go through TikTok and it just says for you, right?
Yeah.
And you get the for you section, and I get addicted to that shit.
Oh yeah.
I will sit
easy,
there and
bro.
oh God, it's just addictive. Like that's my free time.
Yeah.
I look forward to taking a shit and watching TikTok.
100%.
Right? And my favorite ones are the ones where you're like watching like guys like I'm into a guy who's just seriously playing NBA 2K
Yeah.
24 or 25.
Getting mad or something.
And no, he's literally, and I yelled at my kids for watching kids play like Minecraft, and I'm just watching this guy simulate seasons and try to build a dynasty off like historic rosters.
That's
and
cool.
And I'm like, God, this is so stupid. And
Yeah.
why am I
It
just
is.
not doing it myself?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we did that, but you'll go sit and you watch this thing, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to go click onto their page and see if they got anything else more.
Yeah.
And you go see, and they got 1,000 followers, and all their other videos have like 300 views, and that
Yeah.
one video
Blew up. It's pinned.
has like
Yeah.
5. It happened to Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
With
they
his
had like 2 or 3 that had. I haven't looked at that in a while.
it's just it sucks because there's so many good podcasts and content creators that like I really have to like my editing compared to like Nelk or like other creators is like so dog shit that like it's kind of disheartening to be like, damn, I'll never be that. They have like professional videographers, professional editors,
Yeah.
professional brand,
That's
professional.
what you are, though.
I mean, to an extent, but like I
Dude,
also
your
like.
clips are so good. What are you talking about?
But like you see other clips and it's like it's crazy.
Anyway, Nate's got 1.7 million views,
Jesus.
100,000, 20,000, 100,000,
Yeah.
500,000, 24,000. He's got 200,000 likes on his 9 posts.
Yeah,
Like
it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How many followers does he have now? Because
That's- I'm gonna guess.
watching people get the followers.
Oh, you started with the S. 16,000? 6,000?
6,000.
Yeah. Okay.
5,929.
Okay.
And that's in
What a
relative
loser.
terms. You have watched some of these people have like hundreds of thousands,
Right.
or, whatever it is. Really, the ones that you got to do is, I mean, you watch so many of these girls. I follow so many like just hot girls who play golf.
Yeah. Their little skirts.
Oh God, But it's so, like it's just so stupid, and I'm sitting there going. So, but kind of back to like social media. Like I love it. I use it, but it's just sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so like
That-
shutting my phone off is a big deal for me. It's a thing that I don't do.
Well, it's your
often
business, you know.
enough. Well, it is. It's your lifeline. It feels, It's the weirdest thing is when I shut my phone off and I got a fucking panic attack when my phone wasn't working. It's like, oh my God, I'm missing work. I'm missing this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I kind of got into a groove and I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't have it for like 2 days.
Right.
It was the
Yeah.
greatest 2 days ever because it was just not. I had to like set a certain ringtone
For
so
sure.
I don't have a freaking panic attack. Like,
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing is me and Maddie will go for walks and like we just won't bring our phone. And
Yeah.
it's the best.
That is
just
good.
small breaks from it.
And
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
only like 15, 20 minutes, but it's like the best 15, 20 minutes.
Time
of
to
every
connect,
day.
too. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
well, dude, and you got to think about it though. I mean, when I graduated high school, God, I always date myself.
when 02?
01.
Okay.
So we had freaking even longer.
That isn't that. Mine is 07, but
Dude, I can't believe you graduated before I was born.
that's crazy.
The factoid that blew my mind is when I like met you and like Max and Nate, and I realized that none of you were born when 9/11 happened.
That blows
Yeah.
my mind.
Still just
It's
that
like
freaks
half our
me
I
out.
team,
remember
bro.
like exactly where I was. What I liked when the first plane. Not to get into it, but when the first plane hit, I was like, "That's if allegedly." But I was like, when the first plane hit, I was like, "That's a crazy accident." And then the second plane hit, and I'm like, "What are the chances?"
Yeah, it was a Cessna. They were saying it
Yeah.
was like a Cessna that hit
Like,
the friggin'
who
thing.
are these terrible pilots?
I got in a car accident. I was on my way to just started college at Anoka Ramsey, and I was on my way to college, and I got in a car accident with my buddy, and hit my head on a windshield. So I was sitting in the back of an ambulance.
When it happened?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the ambulance driver was sitting there going, "Yeah, like some Cessna or like some private plane like hit the World Trade Center," and that was my first hearing about it.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And so we went to what's now Cornerstone. It was Elk River Ford at the time. My buddy's dad worked at Elk River Ford. So we went over there, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I watched like the second plane come in, and I was like, oh, what? You know,
Yeah.
and I'm probably a little concussed at the time.
Yeah,
too.
like, am I
so I was a little
dreaming?
bit more like blown away. I was high as hell too when I got in the accident, so that didn't help either.
Yeah.
Cornerstone's where we went. That was an absolute shit show for me and Maddie. Remember I was talking about
No.
Is it, where did you get your car? Yeah, you got your new car. Where did you get your car
that?
from?
North Country Ford
Oh,
in
okay.
Coon Rapids.
Yeah.
We went to Cornerstone first. Terrible experience.
I have my feelings. I worked there. It was my first job.
Oh,
first
yeah.
job when I was 14.
Let's
we
get
do
into your origin
a
story.
quick- let's, yeah, 'cause I have some stuff too, like a
You
quick
guys go
breeze through of your
Ask
origin
away,
story.
man. I kind of take over conversations.
No, no.
Where
This
did
is
you
great.
grow up? Who were your parents? Did you have siblings?
Oh, God. All right. So I was born in Aurora, Illinois, home of Wayne and Garth.
That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. That friggin' it's the easiest way to tell people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm from the actual Aurora, Illinois, which is nothing like
Have you
what
seen
they
Wayne's
show.
World?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Don't do like
I don't-
you weren't born when
They're coming out
9/11
with a
happened.
new
I
one.
don't know.
They're coming out
What
with
do
a
you
new
want
one,
from me?
supposedly.
No.
They're possibly coming out with a Wayne's World 3.
I heard
It's
they're
gonna
coming
be
out with
all-
a Happy Gilmore too. That's all I know.
Oh, I hope they don't ruin it.
It's a teetering thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the second when they came out with Dumb and Dumber, like
Yeah.
it wasn't as good.
Ghostbusters.
Ted 2 is pretty good though. I'm not.
Ted
gonna
2
lie.
is good.
The newer Ghostbusters with like Paul Rudd.
I didn't see
Those
that.
ones?
Is that the
Those are
woman?
actually pretty good.
How was
Are they?
the like Ghostbuster, like the all woman? I've never seen it.
It was
I never watched it. I just heard.
nah, it wasn't that great. But so I was born in Aurora, Illinois. Lived there till I was like 3. Parents moved me to Southwest Corner, Missouri. Lived outside of a town called Joplin, Missouri.
Why?
Dad just got transferred.
Okay.
So like he was like a CFO, like a accountant, controller, all that stuff. So he was just like, I'm going to make a better life for my family. My grandpa was a cop for like 43 years.
Oh, wow.
In Aurora, Illinois. He's like one of the longest tenured cops.
Sweet.
Yeah, in Illinois. He was a cop for a long time. But my dad just wanted a better life for like me and my sister. So he put himself through college, worked at a grocery store, did all that. So he moved us to Missouri for this job. But we lived in this small little town called Carl Junction.
Carl Junction?
Carl Junction, Missouri.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No idea. Imagine. Like, I love that
That would be
city.
freaking crazy if you were Carl.
My mom grew
We're
up
talking
there.
like 14, we're talking like 1,500 people. Like, there's
yeah,
not a
no
lot
idea.
there. And so we lived there, and my dad worked over in that, like in Kansas, but that was just where we lived to be close. Lived there for like 7 years, and then moved to Minnesota when I was 10. And I was like, all right, here I am. And I just remember it being so freaking cold. My dad and I moved up here before my sister and my mom did.
Yeah.
And we moved to Elk River. Was in Elk River, graduated there from 01. And then, but yeah, like my life is just kind of like, I was raised by, my dad is like, he's like a strict libertarian.
I love that.
Like he's, do you watch Parks
Don't
and
tread on
Recreation?
me. Oh yeah.
He's Ron Swanson.
Okay.
I was raised by Ron Swanson.
Parks and Rec is great.
Like I'm not even kidding you. Like when I turned 17, I was 17 and going to turn 18 because I was younger for my grade. So I graduated when I was 17 years old.
Nice.
Or like
Crazy.
I think I turned 18 right before I graduated. But when I graduated, my dad basically said, all right. And he gave me my dad's all about spreadsheets.
Okay.
And he handed me a bill. And it was everything that I cost him outside of normal living expenditures.
Yeah.
Like, so like
Water
Yeah,
bill.
like you're allowed food, your stipend, clothing for school, like whatever it is, and I put a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Anything you've cost me outside of that, this is what you cost me. You need to either pay this bill back with interest and you can stay here and you can pay rent and you got to work and you got to go to school, or you can move out.
Okay.
And I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I moved to the cities with my buddies. I lived with like 5 buddies in the Twin Cities. And I mean, I always worked. My mom has a kind of a funny joke when she drives through places with her boyfriend now. She'll be driving, she'll be like, oh, Tony worked there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tony
Yeah.
worked there. And I mean, and if I go through it.
That's similar to me too. Yeah.
And we sat here, we could sit here for a good probably 3 hours.
Yeah.
And talk about all the places.
Every type
my
of job.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I have a work ethic. That's one thing my dad definitely instilled in me, was to have a work ethic. So I always had like 2-3 jobs at a time.
Did you have a good relationship with your mom and dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had really great parents.
Okay.
Like I had a very, from the outside looking in, it was very idyllic, kind of, like
Generic.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was just my parents, and then I have a little sister. So
Okay.
she's 3.5 years younger than me. So she lives in Burnsville. She like followed in dad's footsteps. She's an accountant. She's like the
Type A.
perfect, all
Yeah.
American daughter, like went to college.
White picket fence.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm just like the one that just freaking
Black
flies by the
sheep.
seat of my pants.
Yeah.
Like I never really got in a ton of trouble when I was younger. I saved it till I got into my 20s a little bit more.
Do you think that's because of your strictness of your dad?
Yeah, I think I kind of pushed back on him because he'd be strict about certain things, but he'd be laid back about other things. And kind of what got me into it was, we started. I don't know. He just started wanting me to. He wanted me to be a certain way. And my dad and I are actually more alike than my sister and my dad are, but my sister was easy.
Yeah.
So I'm so ADHD.
Yeah.
And just so oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
I'm just that person. Like, if there's the easy way to do it, tell me that. And then I'll go do the hardest way. to get there.
So like, what's that quote? It's like, smart people learn from their mistakes. Dumb people,
Smart people learn from other people's mistakes. Dumb people learn from their own mistakes.
wise people. There was like 3 and but basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I was always the same way where I had to someone would tell me the logical, like my dad would be like, just do this.
Yeah.
I was that age, like we're similar, just do this. And I'd be like, okay. And then
You
I'd do
want
the
to do that as a
opposite.
parent. I'll tell you right now, when your kid gets older, you want to do that as a parent. You want to guide them and push them.
Yes.
And be like, oh, you gotta do it this way.
Yeah.
You just got to do it your own way.
Yeah.
Everything Brady, like leaving school is a great example.
Yeah.
Right. You got to go do things your way.
Also, though, I will say Brady listens to people that are in positions that he wants to be in.
Oh, absolutely.
So
You
like
should.
Tyler Miller, like say you want to do something, I feel like you'll take guidance from other people and not go with like a temptation of doing something like instant gratification.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I hear you.
No, I actually, and I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that's great. And that's just one thing I was willing to do. I started to realize like my dad gave me a lot of tools to go be successful. And my mom did too. Like my dad's not social. Like my mom was like a social butterfly.
Okay, so you got that from your mom.
That's
probably.
from my mom.
Yeah.
110%. Like I'm just, and I always tell people like kind of what's your superpower in real estate or in
Keep
business, and like what is all that? And I will tell people all the time, I'm like, if that's whatever your superpower is, you got to figure out. Like mine is, I'll walk into a room and I know what is. I can walk into a room and I can freaking draw people to me.
Yeah.
I can be your best friend. be the center of attention, zip around. I'll come in like a goddamn Tasmanian devil, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And then I'm gone. You're like, who the fuck was he? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get remembered for it.
For sure.
That's just a talent that I have. Like,
Well, that's why you're on today. Like when I met you at Brady's, I was like, I gotta get that guy on the podcast.
Yeah.
I texted Brady. I'm like, can we get Tony? Or I think I called you. I was like, can we get Tony on? Like, he seems like interesting. Like you have some good stories, and like,
I would. Yeah,
you're not
I would
dull.
do anything for Brady.
Yeah,
He would. He's done a lot.
that's awesome.
And I will say that that's kind of the part of it is that my dad wanted me to be a certain way, and he wanted me to follow like his path. He's like, I made the mistakes. Let me teach you. And you could do that all you want, but you're not, I was
Right.
hard headed too.
Yeah.
So, I took the long path to get to some places. But it got me to where I am.
Yeah.
And I've been doing real estate for 15 years. I've been pretty damn lucky. I have an amazing group of friends. I'm finally kind of living my life the way I want to. I've flipped houses for a long time. I've done a bunch of fun stuff, and I'm just kind of like, all right, like I'm in a good place in my life now where what fills my cup. I don't need to be a millionaire or anything like that. For me, it's really just finding kind of I make a good living every year. I don't have to worry about bills.
Right.
I can just kind of sit back. Like my phone just rings and people call me and they're like, hey, we loved working with you. We're going to continue to work with you.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm just in a fun part of my life now where I make enough to go do the things I want to go do and take care of all my shit. So I took that guide there and I was very lucky to do it, but it was all by like stuff that was very instilled in by my dad and having to go do all that stuff. So when you talk about Brady, kind of like Brady goes and does his own thing, but he does take into it. Like, you talk to your dad about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Your dad's a freaking like an intelligent guy.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It's successful too. But I've seen it. Like me and him have had conversations about business. I'm sure you've talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to kind of go find. And I have my mentors that I've had throughout my career that have definitely gotten to me where I'm at. And I'm just like, oh, okay. My dad wasn't handy. I learned how to do the trades. That's just what I did. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go do block tending. I'm going to go do drywall. I'm going to go do framing. I'm going to do trim work. That was where
Those are all like dying things. Not many people in the younger generation are taking up like plumbing and electrician. And,
it's starting to come back.
is it?
Yeah, it's starting to. You're seeing more people say like, "Hey, like I told all my kids, like I'm like, if you're gonna do something eventually, go be in the trades if you don't want to go to school.
Right.
Like it's worth it. The most successful people I know are in the trades.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of electricians coming up right now.
Yeah, for sure. How old were you when you had kids? Or how many kids do you have?
All right, so this is a tricky one. I have 3 kids.
Okay.
So my oldest daughter, I was 25.
Okay.
When she was born. I did not know about her until she was a year and a half old.
Oh, wow.
So her mom and I just worked together, and it was kind of a
Fling.
God, this is the most Jerry Springer thing about me too. We had just kind of we worked together and just hooked up. That's
Got
what
it.
it was. We just hooked up a few times. She kind of had a boyfriend. Dated was whatever. I met my ex-wife. We had moved to Rochester. We're living in Rochester. I was working with these Amish guys doing trim work.
Okay.
So I was in northern Iowa, sitting in Amish country, watching these guys they were making. I had knives made to make moldings for like an Iowa farmhouse.
Okay.
That was
That's
being
cool.
redone. Oh yeah, it's super cool shit.
Yeah.
Like using old diesel engines and like belt driven stuff. So I'm sitting down with these guys because I had to go sit down there like all day with them and help them.
The Amish guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking the weirdest.
I heard they're super nice, but
super nice.
yeah.
What the fuck? By the way, what?
Yeah, no, we'll get into that part in a bit. But so I'm sitting there and all of a sudden my phone rings. And they all get really like jumpy because
what
they
the
don't
fuck
hear
is
phones
that?
a lot,
Yeah.
So my phone rings and it's my oldest daughter's mom. I haven't talked to her in years. And she's just like, hey, and she's like talking to me. It was just a weird random conversation. And then next thing I know, she sends me a picture of my daughter and she says, I think that she's yours. Well, it turned out she had hooked up with like 5 different guys. So I was basically like the last guy she had in contact
Yeah.
with. Because she was on like state assistance. And they needed to figure out because they got to know who to charge for it.
right.
So I get this picture, and it's an old school phone. Like it's one of those like
Yeah.
those
10
slides.
pixels.
Blackberry.
Yeah, right. So I'm looking at it, I'm going, this would have been like 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm looking, and I go, well, that's my kid.
Yeah,
I mean, she
you
looked
knew
so
right-
much.
yeah.
Oh my God, she looks so much like me, and which was unfortunate for her. No, she's actually fine for me now. And so yeah, we ended up like my ex and I, like we had a house down there. We weren't even engaged yet.
Yeah.
And so we moved back to Elk River. Decided to buy a house. Like we rented our house in Rochester because the market was crap. You couldn't
Yeah.
sell anything. And we had this cute freaking house in Rochester. So we moved back, moved in with my parents, built a house out in Becker, and decided to move back and be closer to my daughter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was all that. She's 16 now. That was like a weird situation in my life. Like I'm like, you are the father, like just like Maury Povich,
Yeah.
you know,
Sitting with a bunch of Amish people. And
it's such a
like,
weird story to tell people. Like it was such a surreal moment. Like finding out that's how I found out I had a kid.
Are you pretty close with your daughter?
Right now she's 16, so not so much.
Okay.
To be honest, I've always been there for her and always done that stuff. But her mom and I's relationship has always been very toxic.
Okay.
Just not really getting along.
Yeah. And does she kind of take? Is it like you versus the mom, and like the daughter picks the mom's side? Is that
Kind of? It's very just a lot of mental health stuff.
okay? Got it.
Probably the best way to put it without dragging her through the mud. But it was also like my ex-wife did the best she could, like finding that out. Like she stuck by me.
Yeah.
So I mean, as much as my ex and I battled through our divorce and like hate each other, we've actually come to a place of like mutual understanding and respect. But I always respect her for that. She
Yeah.
stuck by me, helped out. Like we ended up having to go to like a court battle. Like it just got really twisted. Like next thing you know, like she's like, I'm not coming after you for child support. I just want you to be a part of her life. And it turns out, no, she wanted child support.
Yeah.
Like there was another guy that had signed the birth certificate and he had to get taken off, and she had already gotten child support from him, and then she was taking state aid, and so they needed to get the money from me because the father's responsible for it because she was
Right.
on state aid. And I was like, what the hell?
Jeez.
And then she came after me and my ex-wife for like, she called my ex-wife like a meth addict, which is like my
Not
ex-wife
true.
is like little Susie Homemaker,
Yeah.
never done a drug in her life. And so she was like coming after, like came after us and drug us through the mud. And so we ended up getting, partial, custody. We got custody, or not full custody or anything.
Right.
Shared custody, shared like, physical and legal and all that stuff. And so we were just like, oh, okay, cool. And we had her, and we moved up here, and then we started having our two other kids. So I have
Yeah.
a 16-year-old daughter, 11-year-old, almost 11-year-old daughter, and then 9-year-old son.
Okay.
So we had them, and they were all like really close. She'd come, but as my ex started having her own kids, like the relationship kind of strained with my oldest daughter, and she didn't want to come there, and there was like a lot of animosity between my oldest daughter and my ex, and then I was working sales, and this is a big thing I tell people: like having kids and being in sales is friggin' hard.
Yeah.
I was gone a lot.
We just had her name's Ava Lee on Realtor of the Week, and she was talking about how, she's a realtor, and she had to bring like her 3-year-old daughter to open houses because like it was just
We've had people on
struggle.
our team do that.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have somebody there to help me.
Yeah.
But I was present when I was there, but I was absent a lot because I was
Right.
gone out working.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was out selling, I was out doing whatever I could. I
Yeah.
made good money doing it.
Right.
But at what cost?
Right.
And that's kind of where
No
I
balance.
changed my gear and found my balance, right? That's actually why I joined the Miller team. I needed to just be able to be a more present parent.
Yeah.
And so you kind of figure out what's important to you.
Yeah.
Like to me, I'm not a flashy car guy. I'm not, I don't need to have a freaking boat or, I don't need any of that stuff. Like I want to go pay for experiences. I like to go on trips, go do stuff.
Connections.
Like spend time with my kids, spend time with my friends. Like that's the value for me.
Right.
But I had to find that, right? And that's just what's important to me. It doesn't mean that's what should be. And everybody else isn't wrong for doing what they want to do. Like,
Right.
Like Brady went and got his douche-mobile. And, I love it.
I did.
But no, but dude, how happy are you?
It's sweet.
How great do you feel doing that?
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, and that's okay. If that makes you happy and it fills your cup, go freaking get it. Right? It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you vain. It doesn't.
I'm actually saving the planet.
Yeah, he's doing his part.
I'm super. It's like the South Park episode where Gerald gets Kyle's dad gets a Prius.
Yeah.
And he starts smelling his own farts.
Yeah. I love the. I don't know if it's the same episode, but the global warming episode.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Here he comes, and they're like pointing, and they're all running away from like nothing. They're like.
I think it was making fun of that movie, The Happening.
Yeah, that was a cool movie, actually.
It was cool
Mark
until you got to the very end, and you were just like, it was the trees.
The wind, or was it trees?
I think it was the trees.
Yeah, they're like defense to.
That's the only.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, don't bother.
Spoiler
Don't
alert.
plan on it.
But yeah, no, I would just say like there was a lot of that hardship going through that with my oldest daughter, with my ex-wife. And so that strained our relationship. And it's not on my ex-wife. It's on me. It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So with my two younger kids that I had with my ex-wife, I try to get along with their mom. I made a concerted effort to like, hey, we aren't meant to be married, but we need to try to be friends and co-parent together and do that.
100%.
So we do dinner with the kids together, or like we're going to take them to a WNBA
Oh, nice.
game to go see like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, phenom.
So we're gonna go do that together.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like we have no interest in dating again. So you got to find somebody
Sure.
who's now I'm actively dating again, right?
Yeah.
And so, hey, if I'm dating somebody, I need you to be able to be cool, and it's like a prerequisite. Now you got to be cool with my ex-wife, because you don't have to be your best friend, but she's going to be a part of my life.
Yeah,
like, that's just what's.
Of course, happen. Yeah. I mean,
so it was a weird path to get here, and just my dad and I were talking about it one time. My dad goes, "You really can't do anything. You can't even have kids the easy way.
Yeah,
you got to have them the hard way."
I was just gonna say you've made some. I wouldn't even call them mistakes, because I have a feeling just like you wouldn't be here without. Maybe you would, but like I've made a ton of mistakes, and
I've heard some of your stories.
Yeah, and I feel like I would be here like 10 years ago had I not made a bunch of mistakes. But also, who knows?
But and I don't know. Like that's right. It's the woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
What could have been.
Yeah.
And I think about it, and like I think I'm a much wiser person because of some of the mistakes I made.
Street smarts too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm, and the thing is I wouldn't go back and change any of it, because, like I said, I've met some really cool people. It's given me some good insights. Was it hard? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress that comes with the shit that I've done, or the way I've gone about life. But I realized that I had the idyllic childhood because my parents were great parents. They were very involved. They were not great. They were not great examples of what a relationship should be.
Got
They're
it.
not great lovers.
They should not have been married.
Yeah.
They should have divorced when I was much younger. They didn't divorce until I was 28 years old.
Yeah.
But they're both happy now. My dad's remarried.
How is that?
Going through a divorce when your parents are, it's
like,
weird.
You're 28 and your parents are like, that's got to be just different.
We lived with them too. My ex-wife and I lived with them while they went through. Yeah.
They fight a lot, or?
Oh, they fought. My whole childhood they fought.
Okay.
I can remember when it really started heavy, and they just fought a lot.
Yeah.
And there wasn't abuse. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff, but there was no like physical abuse or anything like that, or anything like that. Just a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
And so that was like my whole example of like how to be in a relationship.
How to handle conflict.
Yeah. Oh, we got a problem as a couple. I'm gonna freaking yell at you.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah, right?
Piece of shit.
And so
Yeah.
like I actually I officiate. I've officiated. I'll be doing my 42nd wedding
That's so cool.
this summer.
Yeah.
Could be 43 next
Could
year.
be 43 if I win the Beer Olympics for Brady's.
Oh yeah, you have to go against DeRoche.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff.
He's an animal.
I'm gonna.
Dude, he's already in with Maddie's mom, though. That's the thing.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I was talking to her at the housewarming party.
Yeah.
I was. I was
Was
talking
she
to-
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
I didn't meet her.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
So, but
Piece
yeah,
of shit.
yeah, we just. It's
Too
one of those.
busy at the park.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Sorry.
It's just one of those things where I'm fortunate to be where I'm at now, and like I said, but I've done those weddings, and I sit down and I told him, like, when he was talking about getting engaged, I was like, dude, just make sure you guys are on the same page about how you parent. how you're going to spend your
Yes.
money, whose role is what,
That's
all that.
That's one thing. I'm so lucky that Gina and I never really had to like talk it out and be like, all right, so I'm gonna, it kind of just fell into place because I'm lucky that she lets me take the lead and she understands that if we disagree on something, say like my kid's name is Felix, if he, wants candy and I say no, she's not gonna in front of him be like, no, let him have candy or something, like behind closed, or when he's not around, then we'll talk about, hey, I disagreed on this. Like, let's let him,
You
whatever.
should have had that candy.
Yeah.
You piece of shit.
Yeah. So it's she lets
You're a fucking dick.
terrible dad.
You wanted that candy, and then you ate it.
Yeah. She lets me take the lead though, and I've known people where the wife will like berate their husband in front of at a get together. What are you doing, you idiot? No, cook them like. What are you doing? Oh, you always do. And
Kind
it's
of
like,
my ex wasn't. She would never call me an idiot or anything. Like
yeah,
that, but would definitely always call into question my parenting.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like, I don't care what you guys do behind closed doors if you want to talk, but like, don't disrespect him or have him disrespect her, like in front of everybody. Like that, you're a team. Like it should be.
I know. I always joke. I was actually
Easier said than done, but
out of the 41 weddings I've done, coming up on the 42, but out of the 41 that I have completed, I only have one divorce.
hey,
And
that's a pretty good track record.
And they got divorced because she was a lesbian, and she found her true partner now.
Hey,
So
Is that win-win? I guess.
yeah. Listen, if they
Whatever.
get back, now, I think it cancels out if I officiate her and her girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
So I think it cancels out of that.
Yeah.
point. So, but yeah, really, other than that, I've had more success officiating weddings than I've had to actually.
That's cool though. What made you want to start doing that?
My sister and my brother-in-law just asked me to do it for theirs. And then somebody at their wedding was like, hey, would you mind doing it? And I said, doing ours? I said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it turned into this. And then all of a sudden I had done like 5. And I was talking to a client one day and I was like, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to get married. I said, yeah, I've done 5 of them. It's really great. They're like, oh, you're ordained? I was like, yeah. They're like, do you want to do ours?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So is that a job or do you like, hey, I'll do it? It probably depends on who.
I just offer to do it.
Yeah.
And then like people are like, well, what do you get paid? And I'm like, well, what do you want to pay?
Yeah.
Like, give me a meal and some beer and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, people are so nice. I don't think I've ever gotten less than, I think the least I've ever got for a wedding is like $250.
Okay.
Maddie, take notes.
Yeah.
But I get like 500. Like I've gotten
Right.
500. I had somebody give me $1,000 for doing their wedding.
Yeah. That's cool.
I just sent me a check. They didn't hand one to me or anything like that. I just was sitting at home and I went out to get my mail and they're like, thank you so much for the amazing wedding and
That's
all
awesome.
this stuff. And it's like, oh, it's just a fun thing that's just turned
That's a
into
lot. 41.
Yeah, 41. It's just turned into like another random thing that just happened.
Yeah.
And then I just start talking.
And I'm sure as a realtor, you probably meet a lot of people that are gonna get married, and you're like, hey, by the way.
I have done it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So I've sold them a house, done their wedding, done all that, and but that's how I get my clients too.
Yeah.
It's the same way. It's just out talking to people, having a conversation. Random shit comes up, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a realtor. Oh, okay. Well, how long have you been doing that? I've been doing it for 15 years. Blah blah blah. I've actually started flipping houses.
Yeah.
Oh, I really want to flip houses.
Yeah.
And then you start talking to them about all that stuff.
Eventually
and next thing you
gets
know, they're
there.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
It just segues into that.
Organically. Yeah. That's so cool.
It's the easiest conversation to have.
Yeah.
There's no trick.
Yeah.
People always ask me how you've been doing this so long. I go, luck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got the gift of gab. You're able to,
Talk.
That's how I've been able to.
Yeah, you're authentic though, and you don't come off as like, like you're trying to sell them something. It's just like, oh hey, yeah.
I pride myself on actually being a genuine person.
Yeah.
And not like I would never tell anybody to buy anything or do anything that I wouldn't buy or do myself.
Right. That's huge.
So, hell, I got the gift of gab because if you can see how I look, I've talked to at least 2 women having sex with me. So, it's not, it's one of those things. So personality's gone a long way.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The dad bod's in though, man.
Yeah.
I'm starting to morph out of a dad bod and just going right into just Jabba the Hutt bod right now, man. It's getting bigger.
It fits you
fit-
though. Yeah,
yeah.
you're not like.
I think I'd be less funny if I was skinny. I'm
Maybe.
worried that my superpower is being chubby.
Yeah,
My chubbiness is like Jonah Hill is not as funny.
Yeah.
When he got
well, he
skinny.
got confident, and it's like confidence doesn't fit you.
Yeah, no, I mean he's a little bit more insecure. Like, and I definitely have some confidence. I have had a few people in my life sit there and say you're really like. I've been called by a few people arrogant. I'm like, I'm not arrogant. Like
Yeah.
I don't have a high. I mean, like, I don't think I'm better than anybody.
Right.
I'm just comfortable with who I am.
What? Well, I was gonna bring up. I mean, no left or right. Biden dropped out. He had COVID.
Wait, are you guys?
and-
Do you guys differ in your political?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering. It didn't sound like it earlier, but I was wondering.
No.
But for the podcast, no left or right.
Yeah, no
We don't
left
do
or
any
right
left
on
or
the
right.
pod.
Okay.
Yep, it's
right.
just down
For
the
us.
middle.
For us.
Educational.
Yeah, so Biden dropped out. Kamala has punched in and is running.
Did you see though, like in 7 states, they can't take Joe Biden's name off the ballot or something?
Really?
They can add somebody on, but there is a stopping point where they can't take, and they have him on already because he ran through. He didn't have to run through a primary, but he was going to be the nominee. There's weird, archaic
Yeah.
statutes,
like-
Old laws.
Yeah.
The
I saw
ballot,
the
the
similar
ballot
thing.
we see in Minnesota will still have Joe Biden's name. But
I wonder if
think-
that's going to hurt Kamala. So when they go to vote and all these people that
I
are
don't
out of
think any
touch.
dedicated Democrat will vote for anybody other than who will make sure they don't. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody
Hey, go
that's
through- go
a Democrat
through-
is going to
yeah.
make sure Trump's not in.
Yeah.
scroll through X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
Which I freaking hate when the news outlets do that. It was on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah,
we
it's
all
like,
know what X
we get
is.
it. Yeah.
We understand now,
Yes.
Elon. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. So, but on X, I was sitting there and I was reading it and I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I mean, there's just, and every Democrat has just sat there and said, I'll vote for I don't care. I'll vote for a corpse before I vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't foresee it being a huge issue on the ballot.
don't.
Yeah.
Where like we're going to vote for Kamala. That's just,
Yeah.
You know what the craziest thing that like the last 3 weeks, a lot of shit's happened in the world.
Yeah.
You know where my number one news source has been to like find out right away?
What?
You'll never guess the app.
LinkedIn.
Nope.
What?
iHeartRadio.
What?
Really?
Dude, when I saw Trump got shot, the first thing that came in through was iHeartRadio. The first thing I saw when Biden
you
dropped
use
out was
iHeartRadio?
No.
What the hell? I
Like-
forgot that even existed.
I know. And like I get like random, I just get random alerts on my phone where I just, maybe an app that gets left open. So I just got a random alert that he had gotten shot. and
Yeah,
all
well,
stuff. So-
oh my gosh. So I was at, my grandpa is,
Yeah, see, look,
that's
like, just-
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't
I was
get
at
it,
a
man.
listing appointment when Biden dropped out. I was like sitting there and somebody's like,
By the way.
yeah, well, no, they just had NBC on the TV.
Oh, my grandpa's like a hardcore liberal atheist. So we never talk politics because he's 91. He's set
you
in
ain't
his,
changing his way.
nothing. So
Yeah, right.
I was at his cabin when Trump got shot, and I'm like, fuck, he's gonna just be.
This is gonna start this whole.
Yeah, I'm
like,
like, I don't even want to talk about it. Like, why did this have to happen while I was at his cabin? And luckily he didn't bring it up, but it was like, he made sure the news was on the whole time.
That's so
like all the way up, anyways, it was brutal, but
Yeah, the political stuff. Like, I grew up in a very political home. Like, my mom is like liberal.
oh, okay.
My dad is a libertarian.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Dad's super open minded. Like,
Yeah,
super, like, not anything like that. He's like, I don't affiliate with conservative, liberal,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Just let me do my thing and exist.
You know, he would, like, when I was younger, he was definitely like, he would have been more of a Reagan Republican.
Yeah.
But he's very much leaned towards that. He's like, we don't, I mean, like I said, he really is Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Like,
That's hilarious. He's like one of my favorite characters. Ron
that's why
Swanson.
whenever I order something at a restaurant, I always say please and thank you.
Yeah.
I go, can I get a Captain Coke, please and thank you?
Yeah.
You know, or something like that. And people are like, that's really nice that you say that. I'm like, got it from TV show.
Yeah. All over Facebook now, it's either anti-Kamala, pro-Kamala. Like, I'm just sitting there with popcorn, just eating, like reading the comments of everybody arguing, trying to change each other's minds. It's like,
It bothers people because I'm truly a moderate.
yeah.
Like, I have views on certain things, and it is
Right.
what it is. And I don't judge anybody. Like I really don't hate anybody that chooses to vote. I don't care who you vote for.
Yeah.
I
That's
grew
a
up in a
great
generation
thing.
where you never ever worried about that.
Yeah. Or talked about it. Now that there's a platform, everybody feels like, you know.
Tease each other a little bit around election time, maybe. Oh,
Right.
your guy won, my guy won, blah blah blah, and then it just got, and it was before Trump. It had gotten divisive. Like like when
I think around the Bush time.
oh yeah,
probably
oh man, when McCain and Palin were running versus Obama, man, that one even got ugly.
Yeah.
And McCain was known for being more of a moderate himself too.
Yeah.
And it was just, and going back to South Park did an episode about the McCain and Palin stuff. But that stuff got really, really like nasty. And it's just, we've just slowly slipped into it more. And it's really kind of sad because you start to think about this stuff when you have kids. You start to think about like, what are you leaving your kids when you get older? And the political landscape now is scary because you're just like, whoa, like, why do we have to like
obsess? You're
a liberal. Screw you. And it's like, or and everybody's just so extreme one way or the other. Like it's just, and there's more moderates out there than there used to be.
For sure. It's just crazy. I feel like, if I really thought about it, it's like, this is kind of like the master plan to like divide and conquer. Like have everybody, lower class argue about race and gender and politics and religion. While the people at the top, they don't care. They're just like, let them be distracted while we thrive. And
well, I mean, you have like you do. It's funny to hear. Like I was talking with somebody the other day, and they were like, "This is turning into The Handmaid's Tale," and I'm like, "Oh my god,
what is that?" It's a show, right?
It's a show on Hulu. It's America has gone to war.
Yeah.
The Christian right essentially took over.
Okay.
And sectioned them off. So like America's split into two. There's a large section of America that is just like, there was like the women have gone sterile. And so women who can like have children are called handmaids.
Oh, interesting.
And they basically, and then there's commander. It's a very weird show, but it's very like
interesting.
It's pretty dark,
brutal,
and brutal and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't think we're going towards that kind of.
At this point, nothing would surprise me, honestly.
You get older now, and it's just like so much crazy stuff has happened, and
it's every day. I can't. It's so exhausting to be like one catastrophic thing will happen, and all of a sudden a week later, that's forgotten, and now it's this thing, and I'm like, I have like apathy now. Like I have mental fatigue from I can't keep up with everything, and I've noticed like even if I talk about it and care about it, whatever, and it's like I can't do any. I'm trying to keep my kid alive. I'm trying to pay the bills. I don't have the time and energy to like. And what am I gonna do? Yeah.
And that's why I just try to like. My life is all about experiences. I don't watch the news anymore.
Yep.
Like
Same.
I know what's going on in the world.
Social media,
but I just don't give it a lot of play.
Yeah.
In my life, like I just like okay, Brady's got a freaking housewarming and engagement party.
Yeah.
We go to that.
Yeah.
Like after this, I'm gonna go golfing. Like after that, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddy because I haven't seen him in 2 weeks.
It's me and Maddie don't watch like any.
No. Why?
News. Like
it's so freaking poisonous.
You know what we watch every night? We watch Vegas Matt play slot machines every night. We just watch a guy play slot machines.
YouTuber or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Every day. That's it. That's every night when we get home from work.
He's doing like big bet stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've seen like reels that are like this.
$50 to like $100 a spin, and he'll throw in like $20,000, and
that's
he'll play.
Crazy.
But he'll win like $130,000.
How fun is gambling though,
dude?
When you
fucking love it.
Are you a gambler?
No, I don't have the money to gamble.
No.
Is
it
you
because
have too much of an addictive personality too?
Probably, yeah.
I've never gone to your extreme. I mean, I've definitely done my share of drugs.
Yeah.
I've definitely had some fun.
Yeah.
I definitely still drink. I definitely gamble. I still have a little bit of that like self-control where I can say, "Are you not going to gamble for a while?"
Yeah.
Or you're not going to drink
for
a while. Or I can rein myself in or know when to stop a little bit. But I'll definitely have those benders where I'll go a little bit. Like I teeter on that one for sure. And I'm like, oh man, I could.
Gambling just never I've gambled. I've gone to casinos, and all of a sudden it's like I'll be up 100, and then I'll lose 200, and I'm like, and then I leave, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. That kind of sucked.
Yeah,
I don't like. It's fun to like, you get the rush, but the rush.
Have you
for
ever
me
won
is-
like $1,000?
No.
I had never gambled before in my life. I used to go to casinos with my buddies when I was 18, 19, 20. Never went to the casino. I went to casino, but just never gambled.
Yeah.
And it was like, eh. So my dad and my mom said, well, we're going to take you to Vegas for your 21st birthday.
Yeah.
I was like, what? They brought my little sister with her. Like, you're going to go do the. I ended up having some friends that were down there. My grandpa also came with too because he wanted to come for my 21st. They made me share a room with my grandpa.
Oh, brutal.
But
That's hot. Snores. And
oh, yeah, and he was,
eats loud.
I was super close to my grandpa, but I wanted to sneak out and go see my buddies. So they're down there. One of them is got a buddy that's playing in the World Series of Poker down there.
Oh, sick.
So he's down there. They were staying at the Palms. This is my old buddy Jesse. He's unfortunately he's passed now, but Jesse goes. He's like, hey, come meet me down at the Palms. So I was like, all right. Hopped in a cab. Went down to the Palms. I'm 21. I work hard. I got a credit card. I got some cash. I'm good. Like I can go out and do my thing. My parents didn't care. So I was, I'm an adult. And so I get down to the Palms and I'm like, where are you guys? And they're like, we're in the poker room. I walk in the poker room. His buddy had just sat at a table with, do you know who Chris Moneymaker is?
I do.
He's a World Series of Poker winner. Like long-term poker player. I'm like, is that Chris Moneymaker? And he goes, yeah. He goes, that's who you noticed at the table? And I look over, he's playing cards with Tobey Maguire, Ben Affleck, and then like Chris Moneymaker. And I'm like, holy
Damn.
shit. So then we end up like, me and my buddy are just sitting there watching him, and this smoke show of a lady comes up, like goes, what are you doing? You guys just watching? We're like, yeah. And she goes, well, do you guys want to, when your friend's done playing, do you guys want to come up and go? It was Ghost Bar, I think is what it was called at the time.
Okay.
That was up there. So that we end up going up to Ghost Bar. We're up there with Tobey Maguire's in there, Ben Affleck. We're kind of like hanging with them. Like
On the outside, like.
they were like next to us. I mean, they weren't like, it wasn't like we were like,
Yeah.
like they weren't, there was like people between us. We were all kind of sitting in a general area hanging out because our buddy just played. So we were like talking with Chris Moneymaker. I mean, I talked with Ben Affleck for like a while.
That's
we ended
cool.
up freaking like, I mean, we did a lot of drugs that night.
Yeah.
It was like, have you ever seen the show like Get Him to the Greek?
Oh, yeah.
And he's
Russell
trying to
Brand.
find like drugs for Russell
Yeah,
Brand.
yeah.
And then that guy ends up getting stabbed. He's running there.
Yeah.
That was the Vegas we ended up seeing that night a little bit. It got kind of real. It was nuts. Long story short is we ended up partying with them. I lived way past my means that day. Spent $7,000.
Oh, no.
And which was like all my
What an
money.
experience, though.
Went and did that. Like it was freaking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
That was my first time ever doing cocaine.
Yeah.
That was
What the hell of a way
Ben
to
Affleck and
start.
Tobey Maguire.
I did not do drugs with Tobey Maguire. I'm sorry, I did not do drugs with any Hollywood celebrity. But yeah, we were drinking. I mean, like we definitely like
Lived
cheers
it
with
up.
them. It was like just the craziest story, and it was so surreal that we did it. And I'm just sitting there going like, and I sit there and I say it, and it was just like, oh, I was there. But now you sit there and you tell people, you're like, holy shit,
a hell of a story.
I did a bunch of drugs, and I seriously it was like 7:00 in the morning. I came back and my grandpa was showering, and I just come back like just sweaty, like dying. and, like-
Even though you're tired.
and he's like, get your ass up. He was like a hard nose. This was the one that was a cop.
Yeah.
So he's just hard nosed as shit. Yeah, he's like, get your ass up. We're going to eat. And I was like, it slept for like 30 minutes.
Gut
My
rot
parents
from
knew
coke.
100% what was going
Yeah.
on. Like they understood.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Oh god.
Did you say you were with fucking Tobey Maguire and Ben Affleck?
I told my mom, and I said, she goes, well, how did you, where did you see Ben Affleck? And the funny part is I didn't realize Ben Affleck when we were sitting at the table. I walked in to go piss, and he came in and he pissed next to me.
Did he, were you like, hey? Or
Yeah,
what?
I was like, hey, man.
That's funny.
This is pre-Batman. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, he was big. He was a big star at this point.
Yeah.
I think he was with J-Lo the first time.
Yeah.
At this, right around that time. And so we ended up going, man, I would go down and I tell my mom, and my mom's like, did you look?
Oh,
She wanted to know if I looked. I'm like, Mom, Jesus. Like, no, I didn't look at Ben Affleck's cock.
Yeah.
Of course I did.
There was,
Mine's
like a
bigger.
there was like a divider too, so I probably would have looked if he had not had been a divider there. But
That's funny.
so
Sneak a picture over the divider.
This is, again, before like
Black boat.
when the first
Blackberries.
iPhone came out in 2007.
Yeah.
This is 2004.
Something like that. Okay.
So like,
Flip phone.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
the chocolate little slider.
Oh, yeah.
You remember
Wow,
the chocolate slider?
yeah.
God, I date myself
The razor?
every time I talk.
I don't know what that is. I'll be
Oh my
honest, I don't know
God.
The
what that is.
sidekick.
Oh, yeah. We'll pull up a on the electronic Google.
Yeah.
We'll pull
The
up a
World
picture.
Wide Web.
Yes.
All right. I think we got to cut it soon.
you do.
Should we ask the
You gotta
question?
ask the question. Yep.
Yeah.
How do you want to be remembered when you're gone?
God, that's a deep one. I kind of like that.
You like it deep, I've heard.
Yeah. Sex.
Well, there's, I always tell people my joking thing I always say to people is I'm great at three things. I'm an amazing father. I can sell the fuck out of real estate, and I can fuck all night long.
There you go.
That's your answer?
It could be.
Not bad.
It's not a bad answer,
Yeah.
right? But no, realistically, I just want to be remembered as a person that just brought some joy to people's lives. Like, just even if it's just a small moment, a good conversation, whatever it is, thoughtful thing, doing that. My friend and I talk a lot about legacy. My best friend and I are we're pretty successful people, but we talk about leaving a legacy for our kids. And it's not money, it's not fame, it's nothing like that. So a big thing I wanted to be able to do is I want people to sit there and say to my kids, your dad was a genuine person. He genuinely cared. That's what I want. I want my kids to look and say they were proud that I was their dad. And that's the same thing that my dad did for me. My dad's not a perfect person, but I will always look at him and say he's been a guiding light for me. So I always want to be that for my kids.
That's
so
cool.
when I die, that's what I want to be.
That's perfect.
I love that answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
It's a good way to end it. Right
Cool.
there.
Tony, where can they find you?
Oh, well, I mean,
third
you
rail.
can find me on you can find me on Third Rail for
Local bar.
You can find me at a local bar for sure. Underneath your mom.
That's Uncle Tony for
I'm
you.
gonna give an Uncle Tony answer right there. But yeah, no, you can find me on social media. Rusher Does Real Estate is pretty much my handle on everything. Call me, text me, find me at the Third Rail.
Sweet.
That's where I'm at. I'm always working and grinding.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.